Hello, and welcome to a little video about graphing inequalities in two variables. Now this part here, I'm going to keep it written so you can copy it down as I talk about it. When we're graphing linear inequalities in two variables, and I mean x and y, what we start off with is graphing it just like any other line. We identify the y-intercept and the slope, we graph the y-intercept, and then we use the slope to graph a second point. Now we can't just go ahead and connect these dots immediately. What we need to do first is decide if it's going to be a solid line that is connecting these dots or a dashed line. The way I know that it's a solid line is if the inequality symbol has a solid line underneath it. For example, this one has a solid line, and so does this one. If my inequality symbol does not have a solid line, I connect my two dots in a dashed line. After we connect our dots, what we decide is whether we're going to shade above or below. If our symbol is a greater than, so the alligator, the symbol, is eating the y, then we're going to shade above because it's greater than. If our symbol is pointing in towards the y, we shade below because it's less than. Let's check out how it looks like when we apply it. Number one. First, let's identify the slope, the y-intercept. The slope is the number next to x, so our slope in this case is 2. And just to remind ourselves, that means it's 2 over 1. That also means we're going up 2 spaces and to the right 1 space. Lastly, we have our y-intercept. I'm going to change this to a 4, because I messed up. I'm not bad. Our y-intercept is here, it's a 4, and that's where we're going to start our graphing. Okay, so I begin with drawing the y-intercept, and then I'm going to follow the slope to find my second point. Up 2 to the right 1. Sweet. So that's step 1 that we wrote down in words. Step 2, we need to decide whether a line is dashed or solid and whether we shade above or below. So let's take a look at the symbol. The symbol has a solid line underneath it, which means our line is going to be solid. When we're graphing the inequalities, you do want to make sure your line goes all the way through your graph. Okay, you do not want it to just end short. We need it to go through the whole graph. Okay, next, above or below. We have a less than symbol because it's pointing towards the y. That means we're shading below. I personally struggle seeing the above and below part unless I draw some arrows, and this is how I recommend doing it. I'm going to put my pencil finger, doesn't matter, on the y-intercept, right there. And since it's below, I'm going to draw a line straight down following the y-axis. Now I can clearly see where I'm shading. Now when I'm about to shade, I'm going to do squiggles. If you're going to shade it in all nicely, not just a squiggle, then I recommend you do so lightly. You want to make sure that you still see the graph. That's it, all it is for graphing it. The only things I can ask you about this, other than please graph it, is if things are solutions. So let's check that out. Is 4, 0 a solution? Well, let's graph it. There it is. Is that in the shaded area? Yes, it is. Let's identify any other solution. I'm going to choose this one right now because I feel like it. -3, -3, x, y. I cannot pick anything over here. That would be a no-no. So anything within that pink area doesn't even have to be on the squiggle. It just has to be in the same general area. Let's try that again with number 2. Let's identify the slope and the y-intercept. Our slope is 1 over 3, which means up 1 to the right 3, and our y-intercept is -4. All right, let's graph those points. -4 is what we start with, and then we're going to go up 1 to the right 3. Sweet. Now let's decide if we have a dashed or solid line and where we're shading. This symbol here does not have a line underneath it, so it's going to be a dashed line. This is what it would look like. Dash, dash, dash. Dash, dash, dash. Now, where do we shade? This symbol is a greater than symbol because it's eating the y. So we're going to be shading above. I'm going to put my pen, pencil, finger on my y-intercept. And then I'm going to draw a line going straight up. Perfect. Now I know where to shade. Oh. There we go. We're done graphing. Let's see if these are solutions. First, we've got -3, -3. Let's graph it. There it is. Yes, it is a solution. Now let's identify any solution we want. I feel like doing this one, 4, 5. Success. Let's try number 3. For number 3, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this one as y is greater than -3/5x plus 0. I meant to have it like that for you. My first period had to suffer through it, and I showed them how I did it, but I decided I didn't feel like it. Okay, so slope, excuse me, and y-intercept. My slope is -3/5, which means we're going down and to the right. And my y-intercept is 0. 0 is in the middle of the graph. There it is. And then for my slope, down 1, 2, 3, to the right, 5. Perfect. Step 1 complete. Now let's decide whether we have a solid or dashed line and where we're shading. Okay, so the line. The symbol does not have a solid line underneath it, therefore the line is dashed. Cool. Y is greater than, so that means we're shading above. I'm going to draw a line going straight up from the y-intercept. There we go. That means I'm shading this area right here. Why do I keep I keep clicking that button on my pen. This is a great stylus. I keep forgetting that the side button, if I click it by accident, it deletes things. That's actually pretty cool. All right, let's see if -2, 4 is a solution. Let's graph it, -2, 4. Yeah, it looks like. And then let's pick any random point. I feel like that one. 5, -1. Perfect. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to go from the graph to the inequality instead. So we're going the opposite direction. All right, number 1, let's get started. This is a diagonal line, so it's going to start with a y. The line is solid, so I know my symbol's going to have a solid line underneath it. Now I need to see where I'm shading. Is it above or below? It looks like it's below, so I'm going to have a less than. Next, let's do the slope. Here, if we count down, we've got 3, 6, so -6, to the right 3, -6/3x. And then our y-intercept is -6. So in this graph, every 2 boxes is 3. That's why this is 3, 3. So together it's 6 and 3. All right, let's take a look at B. Let's draw 2 points here. One right there, one right there. Start with a y. Okay. It's a dashed line, so I'm not going to have a line underneath it. Okay. Am I shading above or below? Looks like it's above, so it's greater than. My slope, let's count. These boxes are 1, so down 1, 2, to the right 1, -2/1. And then my y-intercept is right here between 5 and 3, which is 4. Fantastic. That's number 1. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. And number 2 is going to look weirder, but it's actually going to be way easier. You'll see. Whoa. Let's see. There we go. Okay, number 2. Now, number 2 is a weird one. It's an up and down line. Does our up and down line ever cross the y-axis? No, but it does cross x. Vertical lines are always going to be x lines. Okay, now let's decide whether it's greater or less than. Now, I know it's this dashed line, so no line underneath my symbol. It looks like I'm going to the right. There's no up and down. There's no above and below. So are my numbers getting bigger or smaller as I go to the right? They're getting bigger. So x is going to be greater than. And right here is our number. I believe that's -2. That's it. To be or not to be, that is the question. For 2b, it looks like we're actually crossing the y-axis here. Great, so this is a y line. We have a dashed line, so no line under my symbol. And for this one, I can easily tell that it's shaded above. So greater than. And the actual y-intercept is at 3. Fantastic. Let's do the same thing for C and D. All right, letter D, this is a vertical, or C, it's a vertical line, so it's an X. It's dashed, so there's no line underneath my symbol. It's shaded to the left, which is less, and it hits -1, so X is less than -1. Lastly, letter D. It's another vertical line, so it's an X. No line underneath because it's a shaded line. What? What did I just say? My goodiness. No line underneath my symbol because it's a dashed line. So we're shaded to the right, so that's greater than. And it looks like we hit X at 3. All right. So that is graphing linear inequalities in 2 variables. The only thing that we're going to do to step this up a notch is graph 2 things on one graph and see where they overlap. If you have any questions for me or whoever is helping you out with math, please let us know. Otherwise, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye!